now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Looking down the middle of the day.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. That means we're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Matthew Bruni in 30 minutes talking LSU women's basketball as Kim Mulkey's squad is headed to the Sweet 16. Got some great news for South Louisiana a little earlier that we'll talk about at the end of this hour. Some SEC baseball to get to. NCAA tournament stuff to get to. Billy Embody's going to be with us at the bottom of hour number 2. Talk about recruiting. LSU had another big visiting weekend over the weekend. So a lot to get to here over the next 2 hours. We will start with LSU baseball. The Tigers dropped 2 of 3 to Florida. LSU won the Friday game 6-1. Saturday game was a dramatic one that went extra innings. Florida wins it 6-4, and then Florida run rules LSU. Tigers run ruled for the second consecutive Sunday. 12-2 was the final. In yesterday's game, Jay Johnson was ejected. It was not very pleasant yesterday. It really was a tale of 2 weekends on one weekend. On Friday night, LSU played a fantastic baseball game. Luke Holman set a career high with 13 strikeouts. He threw 6 innings of one-hit baseball, gave up a single run. Griffin Herring took the baton, finished the game through 3 shutout innings, had 3 strikeouts. Offensively, you got Cade Fisher out of the ballgame after just 5 innings. He gave up 5 earned runs. And you won a 6-1 ballgame where you didn't commit an error. Knocked around Florida's Friday night pitcher. Your guy was as good as he's been all year. It was an awesome effort for LSU. In fact, Jay Johnson, for the magic moment, went out to the huddle in the outfield and said, this one just goes on the wall for everybody. Great job by the starting pitching. Great job by the bullpen. Great job offensively. Great job defensively. That's a great win. And then you come back Saturday, and you made Liam Peterson work. Tagged him for 8 hits and 4 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings. It's a talented dude throwing 97 miles an hour. Got him out of the game in the 5th. Gage Jump works into the 6th inning. Only allows 2 hits and 2 runs. Struck out 8. And you had built a lead, 4-2 in the 8th inning. So at that point in the weekend, you've won a great performance on Friday all around. And you're into the top of the 8th inning, and you've done well offensively and defensively in that game. To that point, it was a great effort from LSU. And then you throw the breaking ball. Milazzo can't block it up properly. Strike 3 gets away. They score a run. Ackenhausen gets a couple of outs in the 9th. They've got the tying run on base. And Ty Evans, who's been a thorn in LSU's side dating back to last June, gets the hit to knock in the run. You can't close the door. Florida's bullpen is really, really good. Can't push anything across, and Caglione does what Caglione does and hits a 2-run homer. You lose that game, and then Sunday you come out and you play poorly. It was a clear line of delineation, basically right on the dropped 3rd strike on Saturday night. Up until that point, LSU was great. After that point, LSU was terrible. And there are a lot of different things that we're going to talk about that went on over the course of the weekend, but that's basically it. And this is a sport, well, it's all sports are black and white. It's a win and a loss. It's not like art or music where there's subjectivity in terms of your evaluation. This is a win and a loss. And so for everybody that looks at this, they go, well, LSU lost. They lost 2 out of 3, got run ruled. But if you look into it, you controlled nearly 2/3 of the weekend. You just don't have the results to show for it. So let's talk about some of the things that went on, specifically on Saturday. The decision to let Nate Ackenhausen pitch to Jack Caglione for a 3rd time after Caglione had hit it hard twice. I don't have a huge problem with it. I would understand making a change, but I don't have a problem with going left on left there with Ackenhausen. At that point, Herring was burned from last night, and Guidry had already pitched in the game. He came in the 6th inning. And your top 3 relievers right now are Herring, Ackenhausen, and Guidry. And Ackenhausen was the only one you had available. So do you want to go to Cade Anderson there to face Cags? Do you want to go to Will Helmers, who's right-handed? Do you want to go to Javen Coleman in that spot? Do you want to go to Justin Lohr? Like I can see that, but I think letting Ackenhausen pitch to the guy right there is the right thing. Or I can certainly understand it. And Caglianone's he's built in a freaking lab. I've never seen anyone on an SEC baseball field that looks like him. He more closely resembles a horse than an average college student. And he got a pitch up and hammered it out of the ballpark. It happens. And Sunday is where you can absolutely find some significant fault. On Sunday, Thatcher Hurd was good for 4 innings, and then the wheels fell off in the 5th. And you're talking about them hanging a 6th spot there. Hitting the ball out of the yard. It's what Florida does. But Thatcher Hurd's kind of shown now through 6 weeks, yeah, maybe he's good for 9 outs, but asking him to get 21, which is 7 innings of work, obviously, seems a little far-fetched at this point. I'm not saying it's impossible that he develops to that, but right now the sample size suggests that maybe a little bit better in a 3-inning spurt, which is not ideal for your starting pitcher, obviously. I could entertain some discussion on that spot. Cade Anderson has been thrust into a couple of really difficult spots in SEC play, and the results haven't been very good. Weren't great in Starkville, and then on Saturday you send him out there, and he's able to get you 3 outs, but to get 3 outs, he gave up 3 hits and 3 runs. Greeted rather rudely by a good Florida lineup. Javen Coleman didn't fare a ton better. So there may be a little bit of an issue there. I'm really concerned that the back end of LSU's bullpen, which is what you have to use on Sundays, LSU far, far more often than not is going to use on Friday and Saturday. You're going to see, obviously, your ace in Luke Holman. You're going to see Gage jump. You're going to see Ackenhausen. You're going to see Guidry. You're going to see Herring. You're going to see your A guys. And to win on Sunday, you're going to need some of the guys further down the line to go in there and get you outs. And the last 2 game 3s, LSU staff has gotten absolutely ambushed. And that is absolutely a concern. I'm very concerned with 2 guys specifically on offense, and I hate to single people out, but we're analyzing the sport here. I said this a million times in the fall and in the preseason. Where LSU is relative to its ceiling this year is likely going to fall on the shoulders of 4 sophomores. Jared Jones, Paxton Kling, Brady Neal, Ethan Fry. The point was, I think we know what Michael Braswell is. We know what Alex Milazzo is. I think we know what Hayden Travinsky is. I think we know what Mac Bingham is. I think we know what Tommy White is. In fact, I know we do. I'm not sure what Paxton Kling is. I'm not sure what Brady Neal is. I'm not sure what Jared Jones is. I'm not sure what Ethan Fry is. If those guys are first-team all-league players, LSU's going to be really, really good. If those guys have a lot of trouble, you're probably going to hit some bumps. And to this point, in SEC play, Paxton Kling and Brady Neal, this sample size is fairly small. 6 games is not indicative of 30, but it is 6 games, and the numbers are striking. They're 0 for 25 with 9 strikeouts in 6 games. These are the guys who are supposed to develop into the next group of stars on your team, and right now they're not playing like stars. They're not even playing like guys that should be in the lineup. And how much pressure does that thrust on Jake Brown? How much pressure does that potentially thrust on Ashton Larson? This means Stephen Milam's going to have to play because Pearson goes into the outfield. Now you're counting on some freshmen if those guys don't step up. Now, Jared Jones already has 10 home runs. He's recognizing breaking balls. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark the other way. He is becoming one of your dudes. And I think Ethan Fry might be onto something here. The injury was very unfortunate because we know he had the huge hit against Southeastern. We know he had a nice weekend to follow. And then he got a couple more hits over the weekend. He hits the ball hard. Big kid. Can run. So all hope is not lost here, but I'm just telling you, like, Paxton Kling hit leadoff on opening day last year. You've seen Brady Neal in the 2-hole this year and the 3-hole this year. And those guys right now are not producing. And the question is, how long is the leash? I was told before the season that those two guys would get a longer leash than most because of the upside. But if you're nowhere near the upside, that leash either shrinks or goes all the way away. And you got to try something else. But that's just the reality of the situation here with LSU. A couple of guys you really counted on through 2 weeks are on the skids. We'll see if they're back out there tomorrow and whether or not you throw them out there against Arkansas and Fayetteville. It's not all bad. Again, I thought they played really, really well for 2/3 of the weekend. But it's a zero-sum game. You got to win. And right now you look up and you see an LSU team that has lost both weekends. Now, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and I'll kind of assess where LSU sits big picture right now as opposed to looking at individual plays from a weekend of game. I also want to talk about Jay Johnson getting ejected. We'll do that next. But a lot of people a little uncomfortable through 2 weekends as LSU sits there at 2 wins and 4 losses in league play. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. All your printing, copying, scanning needs, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal here in Baton Rouge. Appreciate the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, a little more LSU baseball talk on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Palmer Show.
Platinum Window Tint. Platinum Window Tint, LLC.com. You know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. That heat is coming. And it's oppressive down here in South Louisiana all summer long. You leave work, you get in the car, it's a sauna. You can help with that with some window tinting for your vehicle. Platinum Window Tint would love to help you with that. Then you know that those energy bills are coming at home or at work. Those energy bills are real high in the summer. They can be reduced up to 40% in some cases if you tint the windows of your property. Platinum Window Tint, LLC.com is the website. You can see pictures of their great work. It looks great, and it certainly functions for you. This is not something you've considered. Consider it now as the summer months are upon us. Check them out online, platinumwindowtintllc.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
Dance continues this Thursday night at 6 and Friday night at 6 in the Sweet 16. Then Saturday at 5 p.m. and Sunday at 1 p.m. in the Elite 8. Listen to the 2024 men's basketball tournament right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Chatting with Matthew Bruni in 15 minutes, talking LSU women's basketball as they advance to the Sweet 16. We're talking baseball here at the top of the show, and I've gotten a lot of texts over the last 24 hours. Certainly water cooler talk today here at the office about the baseball team, and Gordy Rush just walked by and goes, all right, give me 20 seconds on the baseball team. And I have a different mindset than most people. I think that the majority have been really disappointed over the last 2 weeks and are starting to talk about whether or not you can host a regional and this team can't win a championship and you needed to recalibrate expectations after losing that much talent and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just, how I'm wired, I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. This is my favorite sport because of this journey that you go on starting in February. There are so many twists and turns, and that really applies to everyone. It does. We've seen some really, really, really good baseball teams nationwide over the last couple of years. And Tennessee didn't have a lot of adversity 2 years ago. They lost one series to Kentucky. Last year, Wake pretty much cruised the entire season. So it can happen, but they're very isolated incidents. And so I don't think any talk about June right now is relevant. You're just trying to build. You're trying to create a team and win some games along the way so that you've got a great product at the end. I want to remind y'all, because I went back and looked it up to make sure. I thought I was right, but I checked it. Last year, 13 of the 14 teams in the SEC got swept. 13 of 14. The only one that did not get swept was LSU. And this is coming as a person who, on this show, hammered the panic button on LSU last year when the bullpen faltered again against Mississippi State. Because they just, after Edwards and Shores went out, you just didn't have anyone you could turn to, it seemed like. And eventually Ackenhausen and Cooper and Guidry kind of figured it out, and Herring was pretty good. But there was a time there where I didn't think you could trust anybody after Skeens. So even it got to me last year too. And that's as good a team as we're going to field. But 13 of 14 teams got swept last year. Tennessee got swept by Missouri. They finished in the Final Four. Arkansas got swept by Georgia, who fired their coach. They won the SEC. Florida got swept by South Carolina. They ended up the national runner-up. Everybody hits bumps. The fact that LSU's have come the first 2 weeks of SEC play is unsettling, but it is what it is. LSU lost 2 weekends last year. They were always going to lose some weekends this year. They've got to play better. That goes back to the last segment. You've got to have guys at the back of the bullpen on Sundays do a better job than getting lit up like a Christmas tree against Mississippi State and Florida. You need more production from Kling and Neal, or from Brown, or from Fry. Tommy White is going to be Tommy White. Hayden Travinski is going to be Hayden Travinski. Mac Bingham is a solid player. You've got an ace who's throwing the ball great. I think Gage Jump is a solid 2. And for 4 innings yesterday, Thatcher Hurd looked awesome. And then we kind of seen what happens in the 5th and 6th inning for him. But we don't need to talk about the College World Series in March. We don't need to talk about hosting a regional in March. You don't have to viscerally react to every weekend loss. You can. Passion's great. It's what makes LSU baseball awesome. But just a reminder, there were times where it was bumpy for LSU last year with the stacked roster, and there were always going to be times where it was bumpy for this team. And they're not that far off. They almost won 2 out of 3. I realize we can't live in a hypothetical world, but I'm not going to make a huge change to the weekend here. I'll make one tiny tweak. Ty Evans, line drive to center field, travels 15 more feet, and Kling catches it, and LSU wins the game on Saturday and wins the series. How much different is our conversation today if that happens? It's worlds different. Yeah, they got run ruled on Sunday. Caglione pitched really good, and you didn't have a great outing from your bullpen guys. But you won the weekend against Florida. That's a good team. Great job. And I just make one little tweak. Ty Evans, instead of lining it into center field, gets just under it, and they catch it in center field. You win the weekend. You were that close. So it's not, I panicked last year because there was a 6-week buildup of bullpen problems that manifested in a massive comeback win against one of the worst teams in the league in Mississippi State. And I just went, that's 6 weeks of this. I can't deal with it. After 2, I'm okay. I realize what's coming. Your next 2 road trips are to Arkansas and Tennessee. Those are not fun places to win. I got it. But things are not that bad. It's still a good roster, the really good coach, and I think they're going to get better over time. And you still have weekends with Auburn, with Alabama. You still got a weekend with Ole Miss, Missouri. So it's not a great spot to be in, but it's not panic time right now. Now, I want to address the ejection of Jay Johnson yesterday and kind of the state of college baseball right now. I think most fans pay attention to LSU, and like the rest of college baseball, it's just kind of on the periphery. I feel like in college football, we see more, we pay attention more. I don't get the sense that there are a lot of LSU fans that watch the Georgia-Kentucky baseball series. I think y'all will watch them play football on a Saturday morning at 11 a.m., and so you're aware of that. But I think sometimes things happen in the Southeastern Conference that LSU baseball fans are maybe not aware of. And this is relevant to LSU because Jay Johnson got ejected for along the same lines. On Saturday, Georgia and Alabama played a doubleheader. And Georgia won game 1 of that doubleheader by hitting a walk-off grand slam. Quite literally, the most exciting play in the sport. A walk-off grand. What is better in baseball than a walk-off grand slam? I can't think of anything. And the kid hits the grand slam to win game 1. Bama's walking off the field, and as he's rounding third, he throws his helmet in the air. He gets ejected from a game that's already over and suspended for the next game, game 2 of the doubleheader, for throwing his helmet. Ridiculous rule put in place by the NCAA. And this is a point of emphasis for the officials, for the umpires. Taunting and excessive celebration is going to be punished. And every single weekend day, somebody's getting ejected for this. It's preposterously stupid, in my estimation. But it is the rule. And that's why when Jared hit the home run on Sunday, the official came out and warned both benches, said no more talking. And then Caglione strikes out Travinsky, and he starts jawing. And at that point, Jay, after a tough loss on Saturday and his bullpen falling apart on Sunday, was probably very frustrated, and he comes out and loses his cool, and he gets run. And I could read his lips. He said, you issued a warning. It's 30 seconds later. That is so soft by you. He dropped an F-bomb, and when he dropped the F-bomb, he got run. Here's the situation that the NCAA has put college baseball in. They've told the umpires it is a point of emphasis to get trash talking and taunting out of this game. If you see something, you have to react to it. They're beholden to that. So Jared Jones does talk, and the umpire does issue the warning. Now he should have thrown Caglione out of the game. I'm not a proponent of throwing anybody out of the game almost ever. I'm going to need assault with a weapon to be knocked out of the game. I hate disqualifying people. I hate technical fouls in basketball for talking. I hate throwing people out of games for talking. But this is what the NCAA has told the umpires they have to do. The umpire did the first part, and he didn't do the second part. And I don't know if it was because it was Caglione. He didn't want to throw him out of the game. I don't know what the reason was. But this is the reality of it. So what Jay has to do now is go to his team and say, guys, you will get ejected and suspended if you do this. Now, this is Hunt talking. I think that's ridiculous. If a guy hits it 400 feet and wants to say gotcha to the pitcher, we're all big boys here. We'll figure it out. If a guy wants to pump his fist and stare down the dugout after a strikeout, I think we'll all live. I realize that you're flirting with the line there, and I don't need brawls every game because everybody's trash talking after every strikeout. I get the sentiment there, but we've gone too far. If you want me to call it black and white like I see it, not what the NCAA says, I don't care if Caglione talks. I don't care if Jared Jones talks. But it's not what the NCAA said the rule is, and that's why Jay threw a fit. Now, he said that that's not going to happen to him again this year because he came out of the game, and then all of a sudden Florida started playing home run derby. He thinks it hurt his team for him not to be in the dugout. I don't know if it did or not, but he's not going to lose it like that again. I think there was a part of Jay, and I don't know this, I haven't talked to him about it, but I think there was a part of him that was just really frustrated by the fact that the weekend got away from him. And you add in the fact that that they got a warning and then didn't do anything when there was more action taken, that sent him over the edge. I think the fact that it was Caglione probably did too, because he'd like to take that bat out of the lineup. But the whole thing, I think, is stupid because the NCAA is going too far with this thing. If we can't celebrate a walk-off grand slam, then why is anybody even out there? Like, what's the point? We just have to be emotionless, be cogs in a game. I hate that. It's a game. It's not a dinner party. We don't need to have perfect etiquette. But that's the way I saw it. In the rearview mirror now, Florida beats LSU 2 out of 3. Tigers play tomorrow against Southeastern at the Box. And then an early weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, up in Fayetteville against what will be the number one team in the nation, the Arkansas Razorbacks. They went to Auburn and got a couple over the weekend. I'll talk more about the SEC's baseball weekend coming up at the top of hour number 2. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. Our baseball breakdowns all year brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Nicholson location just south of LSU's campus. Bluebonnet right there in front of the Mall of Louisiana. I've been telling you all spring long, go by Pluckers and get some of the Breggie's Creole Crush. Brand new flavor for the wings over there. It's an Alex Bregman signature, and it is really, really good. I had a chance to sample it a couple of weeks ago. Got a little bit of heat to it, not too much. Just a lot of flavor there. I'm partial to the honey barbecue over there as well. Love Pluckers, and they bring you our baseball breakdowns each and every day. We'll take a time out when we come back. Matthew Bruni talking women's basketball on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, closet can be a game changer. We had a really, really bad closet situation in the former house. We wanted to prioritize the closet in house number 2, and we did, and we absolutely love it. If you don't want to move but want to improve your closet situation, David Duvall and his team can absolutely do it. They're licensed contractors. They can come in and create a new space for a closet. Maybe it's not that big a deal. Maybe you just need to use the space that you have more efficiently. David Duvall and his team do that kind of stuff all the time as well. Go to the website, check out pictures of their great work, the awesome testimonials from their satisfied clients, and request that free consultation so David Duvall and his team can get you started today. It's One Bath and Closets, the website, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has $7,500 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. $7,500 off plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram.
On Monday's OTB, recap March Madness, as well as the Tigers and Gators battling in the box. Did Jim get it done in New Orleans? Did the ladies whole serve at the PMAC? And a brand new weekend winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Successful weekend for Kim Mulkey's Tigers. They dispatch of Rice back on Friday afternoon. 70-60 was the final in that one. And yesterday, a lot of drama early between LSU and Middle Tennessee. Blue Raiders got out in front, but LSU put in another gear in the second half, to put it mildly, and ran away from Middle Tennessee to advance to the Sweet 16. Matthew Burney covers the LSU Lady Tigers 4-on-3 and joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Matthew, how are you?
I'm doing great. About 5 minutes before y'all called to get on here, the women's team picked up a transfer commit, so that's why I'm riding up.
Well, can you tell us who that is? Because I haven't seen that news either. I was going through baseball box scores.
Yeah, Jersey Wolfenbarger, 6'5", former number 7 player in the 2022 class. Spent 2 years at Arkansas and then left the team and entered the transfer portal. I don't know a ton about her, albeit, but as she's more of like a wing, I think she can handle the ball a good amount. So, but still 6'5" with Kim Mulkey is exciting.
Yeah, are we assuming that Angel Reese is finishing her LSU career this year? Or do you think there's a chance she could come back?
I think there's a chance she could come back. I think there's a much better chance she comes back than Haley. I think LSU will push for it, but ultimately it's Angel's decision. And, if she thinks she's done everything she's wanted to do at the college level and wants to move on, then I think that's a very real possibility as well.
All right, let's talk about this team. Obviously, LSU was a significant favorite over Rice and had trouble pulling away. 70-60 was the final against the 14 seed. What did you see in the tournament opener from LSU?
Yeah, I was worried, as were a lot of fans, I think, watching that game. Rice struggled in the American this year, but I talked to their coach before the year for the college basketball podcast I do, and a very smart coach and very well prepared. And I think that Rice came with a game plan and executed it, and LSU played down to their competition, which this team has done at times this year. I think we had hoped that they had kind of grown out of that, but maybe a couple weeks off and just not playing, maybe not being in a rhythm, just kind of dropped them back down to that level.
I think the biggest stars entering the season on LSU's team were obviously Angel Reese, one, and probably Haley Van Lith, two, because of her profile that she had over at Louisville. But it feels like Flau'jae is kind of taken an interesting role where she's kind of been the spearhead of the last couple games. Is that kind of what you've seen?
Yeah, I think this team is at its best when it's pushing in transition, when they're able to drive the lane, and I think they're just aggressive overall. And Flau'jae kind of embodies that with her ability to kind of slice through defenses, and her finishing ability is tremendous, obviously. So, Kim Mulkey teams a lot of times, especially, the past couple of years at LSU, have been a lot more post-up oriented in terms of getting the ball in the paint. I think this year's team, and I think really next year's team as well, if you look at it, can be a lot more splashing, and, with Flau'jae and Michaela and Anissa kind of getting to the paint and getting to the rim in different ways. And Flau'jae is just so creative, so crafty, and so skilled. She's incredibly fun to watch.
And then yesterday against Middle Tennessee, it was a really poor start for LSU. What was the issue in the early going that allowed Middle Tennessee to build a lead?
Yeah, I think Middle's I had a question coming in as far as the pace goes, and I think LSU kind of played into Middle's pace a little bit in terms of just not being able to get on the break. Defensively, LSU didn't force turnovers. I don't think they had their first steal until the third quarter, and with that being the case, they just can't get out and run. And this team at its best is able to push the pace, has a lot of ball handlers, a lot of players that can score in one-on-one situations, and if their defense isn't getting any stops, then they're just kind of one-dimensional in the half court, and their sets weren't working against Middle Tennessee. So I give a lot of credit to Middle. I think they're a really good team. That's why I picked them to beat Louisville. But ultimately, the second half was a clinic from LSU.
Yeah, it really was. What I was going to ask. What was your favorite part of the second half that LSU just completely just dusted them?
Favorite part for me was the PMAC being incredibly loud. Like we've heard the PMAC loud in a lot of different instances over the years, and I've only been here for 3 years, but this is right up there. I think the crowd, to give them credit, there was a lot of understanding that this team kind of needs us right now, and this team needs the crowd into the game and to will them and to push them and just to get them going. And once that happened, Flau'jae took off, Michaela took off. It was just off and running. I think it was a 51-15 run or something along those lines in total. Just a dominant second half.
Yeah, it was an avalanche. LSU held Middle Tennessee to 34% from the floor. You've talked a lot about this defense needs to be as good as the offense is if this team wants to make it where they're trying to go. What did you make of the defense over the weekend?
I think it was good. I think when they're locked in, they are still capable of being elite. We saw it early in the season when they beat Virginia Tech. I think in the South Carolina game, especially the SEC championship game, I think they played really good defense. And now I'm interested to see, kind of building off that first point I said when they were playing down to the competition, the next two games, Sweet 16, Elite 8, they're going to have to play up to that competition. And I'm interested to see if that brings out the defensive intensity that they need on a consistent basis to win those games. So defensively, I think they're fine. I think they have to force turnovers. I looked it up. They're averaging 11 steals per game this year. which is, among the best in the country, and it's the highest of any Kim Mulkey team ever. So it's been a change for Mulkey. It's been a change for kind of this team in terms of just being really aggressive, and they're going to have to continue that next week.
What do you think Kim's biggest concern is as they head into the Sweet 16?
Probably still point guard play, I think. I think Poa and Haley defensively have gotten a lot better. And I think, we saw that in the second half against Middle where they were able to really bother Savannah Wheeler girl. But when they play a team like UCLA or they play another high-level team, I still am interested to see if they're able to calm it down, get them going in the half court, and ultimately how well they hold up on the defensive side of the ball. So I think that's still my concern. I think Angel, I'm pretty sure she'll be able to put these 2 games behind her and play better moving forward. But, point guard is still a position where they're going to need a little bit more out of if they're going to do this thing.
What do you make of Kim and this Washington Post story and kind of what that means? Is it a distraction? Do they not care? I mean, what do we know about this?
I feel like this team has had plenty of distractions this year, and this is just kind of another one you chalk up. Heck, we go all the way back to the beginning of the season. Heck, before the season, they were preseason number 1. All they heard about was, how great they were in NIL deals, and then lose the opener, kind of go off the map for a little bit until Angel gets kicked off, and then Kateri gets kicked off, and you just go down the list of things that they've gone through adversity-wise. Samaya going down for the year, Haley missing a month. This is a team that I think ultimately all that can hurt them, but I don't know if it's anything new for them in terms of handling outside noise and outside pressures. And I don't think it bothers Mulkey in terms of how he's going to coach. So I'm not too worried about it. Going into the next week, we'll see, once the story comes out, how everything plays out from there.
You know anything about UCLA or Creighton?
Yeah, UCLA is really big. Lauren Betts in front court played Team USA with Angel Reese this past year. She's 6'7". But at the same time, they've played Cardoso. They've played some bigs in the SEC before. So the size isn't a concern. UCLA, though, can match up talent-wise pretty well with LSU. So that will be I know a lot of people, look at the region as Caitlin Clark and LSU, but UCLA is up there in terms of talent with anybody in the country.
Schedule says that LSU will play in Albany, New York on Saturday at either 12 or 2:30 Central Time against UCLA or Creighton. That game is today. Matthew, thanks so much for the time, man. Get back to writing.
Yeah, thanks, Hunt.
Matthew Bruni, part of the Bengal Tiger over on 3. It's going to be an on-3 day for us with Matthew Bruni talking basketball. We'll have Billy Embody talking recruiting in 45 minutes. I haven't mentioned my thoughts on this whole Washington Post Kim Mulkey thing. I'll do that when we come back. Plus, some really, really, really good news for South Louisiana. We'll get to that to close out hour number 1 next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet is ready to take you through all the huge sports moments this spring. It's the exclusive sportsbook of ESPN. It's got all, including exclusive offers and promotions from Scott Van Pelt and Stephen A. Smith. From the playoff intensity to getting into the links and out on the ballpark, there's no better time to be a sports fan. Sign up today and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. LSU football on the practice field with full media availability. We'll have a recap, and we'll talk LSU, Florida, and baseball from the box. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
So, I've been fascinated by the reaction to the news surrounding this Washington Post story on Kim Mulkey, for a number of reasons. One, we don't even know what it says, and everyone's got these really strong opinions. So I want to be clear before I start talking about it. I have no idea what is in this piece. No idea. So everything I talk about here is basically speculation, opinion, and hypotheticals. I'm happy to react when I actually see the story, but I have a hard time bashing the person who wrote the story without even seeing the story. Maybe it's concrete fact. Maybe it's hogwash. I have no idea. But people are going nuts down here, and I get it. Kim Mulkey won a national championship. She's our coach. You're going to defend your own. But we don't even know what's in it yet. That's one thing that has fascinated me. I am also incredibly fascinated with Pat Forty sending that tweet out. I don't ever recall seeing someone in journalism promoting someone else's work before it goes out. All the time you see someone write something or create some sort of video and you see people sharing it oh, this is great work here, great work. I don't remember a promotion pre-story like this. And I know y'all hate Pat Forty for the Will Wade stuff. I don't care about Pat Forty at all. He's paid to write about college sports and have an opinion. I don't agree with most of his, but it is what it is. I don't really care about Pat Forty. I got enough on my plate than to get ticked off at his Twitter feed. But Stephen Godfrey, who has written for a number of different places, kind of had the same type sentiment. He said something like there's a story coming out. Kevin Van Valkenburg, who I love his work and enjoy a lot of things he does on a podcast for No Laying Up. It's a golf podcast. He was tweeting out when this story drops, I'll give anybody my link to my Washington Post subscription so you can read it. I realize that a lot of people do not like Kim Mulkey, but I don't recall this sort of promotion of a story before it ever comes out. And I'll say this, the timing of this feels like trying to capitalize and get clicks and subscriptions. That's what this feels like to me. Now, if the story involves Kim Mulkey breaking rules, breaking the law, that type of thing, well, then there's merit to it. If this story, and I'm using hypotheticals here, I get it because I don't know. If this story is Kim Mulkey is mean to people sometimes, then it's pathetic. But I don't know what it is. I will read it start to finish whenever it comes out. I don't have a Washington Post subscription, but I'll figure it out. My inclination is that this story is going to be written through the eyes and ears of people who have had uncomfortable run-ins with Kim Mulkey, and it will paint her as some sort of mean bully. That's what I'm guessing this story is. I don't think we're talking tax evasion or insider trading here. I don't think we're talking about paying high school athletes to go to school. Like, this is my opinion. I think this is probably Kim Mulkey's a big meanie. And if that's it, then it's a pitiful piece of work. But these are all ifs. So I'm not going to throw a huff at the Washington Post person because I don't know what the story is. I don't care about Pat Forty and his tweets. And I'm curious to read this, and I'll react to it accordingly. Timing sucks for LSU, but hey, I guess we're used to that. We'll wait every time he made the tournament. We had to deal with this. So here we are. I do want to talk about some good news here at the end of the hour. This came across the wire today. I'm so excited. And I know this doesn't play for all of you, but it is a big deal for South Louisiana. The Zurich Classic is in a month. And today we got the news that Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry will be playing as a team in the Zurich Classic. Rory has never played in the Zurich. He's never played New Orleans. But those two guys who are good buddies, who are Ryder Cup friends, who are Irish natives, have decided to team up. Rory oftentimes does what he thinks is right, even if it's not what he wants to do. He does oftentimes think about what's best for the game of golf. And he knows his place in the game of golf right now. And golf has never been in a worse place in the modern era than it is right now. Like live or hate live, you cannot argue that having two golf tours where half the good players are one, half the good players are another, that's not good. And that's rough for golf. And it's been really rough on some of the non-signature events. Their fields are very poor. These winners no one's ever heard of. And it hurts the sponsors. It hurts the tour. It hurts the charities who take the contributions. Like, it just hurts. And some of these big-name players are going to have to step up and play some of these non-designated events like the Zurich. And so for Rory to step up and do that is really, really big. And I'm certain, like, when you go out, if you've never been out to the Zurich, TPC is, you can kind of see around. You can't see every hole from every hole, but you can see 3 or 4 holes from a lot of different holes. And you can tell where Cantley and Schauffele are and where the group you've never heard of are. There's a horde following one group. That it's going to be a madhouse for McIlroy and Lowry, being that Rory's never been here and he's the biggest name in golf right now. That's really, really cool that Rory will do that. I'm assuming they will make the cut, and I will be able to see them when I go out there on Saturday. But what was your reaction to that news, Beck? A little surprised?
Yeah, that is pretty surprising, but I do think that you're right about this. I think it's not just going to be the Zurich. I think there's going to be other tournaments where the PGA, I think, are probably talking to these guys, like Rory, telling them, hey, look, we understand that you are going to be fully committed to all these elevated events, but maybe just play one, that makes sense for your schedule that you can fit in, and we can try to elevate some of these lower level tournaments because we saw this last week, the Valspar, Peter Malnati won. I guarantee
Pepe
you,
Peter Malnati.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if you asked 100 people who that was, that rarely watch golf, no one knows who that is.
Yeah,
so you would rather have you'd rather have Shane Lowry and Rory McIlroy competing and possibly winning a tournament like this, and it would elevate the outlook of these smaller tournaments like the Zurich. Yeah,
I'm super excited for that. I used to hate Rory McIlroy because he's on the European Ryder Cup team. Now I like the guy because he stood up for what was good for the game of golf, and he kicks my butt in the Ryder Cup every year. But I've turned on Rory. So that's it for hour number 1 here. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, printing, copying, scanning. You got to have it at the office. Let the folks at Gulf Coast Office Products help you with it. They've got plenty of resources, $1 million of supply right there, ready to go. an awesome customer service team, fantastic rep. Trey Beal, the president over there, is such a great dude, and we appreciate them. They service our copiers and printers here at Guarantee Media, and they can do it for you no matter what vertical market you're in, whether it's healthcare, whether you're an attorney, whether it's like us, media company. Trey's got clients in every line of work, and he knows what specific needs you have in terms of your printer, your copier, and your scanner. Let Trey Beal and the folks help you out at Gulf Coast Office Products. Check them out online at gcopnet.com. We'll take a time out and pause for Sports Center. We come back, got some SEC baseball to talk. We got some LSU recruiting to talk with Billy Embody. So plenty to get to in hour number 2. I hope your work week is off to a good start. Come back after Sports Center. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Bayou Ford has $7,500 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. $7,500 off plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties, so retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. NFL owners voted today to ban the swivel hip drop tackle, a tackle the league said results in an injury rate up to 25 times higher than other tackling styles. If flagged in games, it will be a 15-yard penalty. The NFL Players Association objected to the proposal last week, said it would cause confusion among players, coaches, officials, and fans. Iowa star Caitlin Clark in primetime in the second round of the women's NCAA tournament tonight. She and the Hawkeyes welcome West Virginia, a matchup that will be decided early, predicts ESPN college basketball analyst Carolyn Peck.
If West Virginia is forcing turnovers or making it hard for Iowa to score, then it's going to be a close ball game throughout. If Iowa gets out of the gates early, running in transition and shooting the three, then I think Iowa will handle the Mountaineers.
Carolyn Peck on Unsportsmanlike. Iowa, West Virginia tip-off 8 Eastern ESPN. NBA Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama sprained left ankle, out tonight versus Phoenix. There's no timetable yet for his return to the court.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. Coming up Tuesday, we'll continue to react to all the news surrounding Shohei Ohtani. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Short week for us this week, which I'm looking forward to. One, LSU baseball Thursday night, which kind of shortens the weekend itself, but we're not working on Friday, so that's a good thing. Now, if I can find a way to get out on the golf course, we really have something for us on Friday. But I hope your work week is off to a good start, and I hope it's a short work week for you as well. SEC baseball is what I wanted to start hour number 2 with here. I think we've got 10 hours a day of local radio, and I think a lot of times we cover the same topics, just with different perspectives. But I try sometimes to kind of give you something that maybe the other shows I don't think are necessarily going to pay a ton of attention to. So this, I think, is one of them, is certainly SEC baseball outside of LSU. And just a quick storyline from all the other series. Arkansas wins 2 out of 3 at Auburn. It took Auburn getting a 6th spot in the 6th inning of Game 3 to win 8-6. They were on the brink of being swept there, but the Plainsmen do get one win in that weekend. I saw a stat today on Twitter, and I'm sure we'll go over it a bunch on Thursday, unfortunately, but Hagen Smith's strikeout rate is 57%. 57%. He is nearly striking out 6 of 10 batters. That is just unbelievable at this point. And LSU gets him coming up next on Thursday. The Hogs 5-1 in league play, tied with Kentucky atop the league. Texas A&M wins 2 out of 3 against Mississippi State in College Station. Justin Lampkin, kind of the story in that one for Texas A&M. On Sunday, the Southpaw gave a 7 1/3 inning outing, 2 hits, 1 run, 12 strikeouts of Mississippi State Bulldog hitters, just 1 walk. He retired 21 of the first 22 hitters that he saw. That's some pretty good work there from A&M's left-hander. You know, the Aggies had those gaudy stats pitching-wise entering SEC play, and the thought was like, you know, are they that good? They were so bad last year pitching. It's kind of the same cast of characters. Are they really that much improved? Well, they were pretty good over the weekend against Mississippi State. They do get 2 out of 3 in that one. The Vols win 2 out of 3 over Ole Miss in Knoxville. Friday was a run rule. Sunday was a run rule, but Ole Miss did win the middle one. The Vols hit 5 home runs in 6 innings on Sunday. So, look, that's a very, very offensive Tennessee team. And once again, I just don't know how good Ole Miss is. So that's going to be an interesting one to follow throughout the entirety of the season. They did get a win over South Carolina in their first series. They go to Knoxville and lose that one, so they're 3-3 in league play. Tennessee lost the first weekend, so yeah, they're 3-3 as well. A couple 3-3 teams, Tennessee and Ole Miss. Kentucky wins 2 out of 3 against Missouri. The rubber game was 7-6 Kentucky, and Missouri had 2 on, so Missouri almost won that weekend. We think of Missouri as being the worst team in the league, and I'm confident in saying they are the worst team in the league, but they almost got 2 out of 3 from Kentucky there. So scrappy effort from the Missouri Tigers, but they'll go back to Columbia. I know that was in Columbia. Kentucky will head back. Winners of 2 of 3. Kentucky, as I mentioned, tied with Arkansas at the top of the SEC at 5-1. Georgia swept Alabama. Charlie Condon is a joke. He went 6 for 10 with 3 home runs and 5 driven in over the 3-game set. He's got 17 home runs in 25 games. He has 4 multi-homer games already. Like, I was listening to Chris Burke on the call. I think Dylan Cruz hit 18 home runs last year, was the second pick in the draft, thought of as a really good college hitter. Best one I've ever seen at LSU. He hit 18 home runs last year. Charlie Condon has 17 right now. It's not even April yet. We're not even talking May and June, and Cruz played all the way through June.
And this guy was a walk-on.
I mean, he could be the first pick in the draft. It could be Caglione. It could be him. I don't think Weatherholt's an option there right now, but like, could legitimately be the first pick in the draft. He redshirted his first year.
He has to be the first. I mean, I guess I don't know the history of the MLB draft, but he would have to be the first guy who was a walk-on in college to be the number 1 pick in the draft. I mean, that's absurd.
That is quite a rise. He's really, really good, and he's got such easy power. I watched more SEC baseball than I would probably care to admit this weekend, and he's got such easy power, just absolutely blast the ball out. And then South Carolina swept Vanderbilt, which was probably the surprising results of the week. Vanderbilt looked so good in their opening weekend against Auburn. They swept Auburn in Nashville, and then they go on the road to South Carolina, and they get swept. And South Carolina had gone to Oxford and lost 2 out of 3, 8-4, 8-3, and 10-2. Vanderbilt just not swinging the bats. They only scored 9 runs in 3 games there. That's just not quite going to get it done. So look, LSU will see Vanderbilt in the box next week. And then we'll see what they get into this week. But it's just a good league. That's the point that I was kind of trying to make earlier. It's like, we know how good LSU was last year, and at times they made it look easy. It's really not going to be easy at any point this year for anybody. I just don't think. I don't see a team that I think is going to win 23 or 24 league games. Like, that doesn't exist here. And, I mean, Arkansas's got a great staff, but I don't know that their bats are screaming 23 wins to me. And outside of Missouri, like, I think everybody's pretty functional. Like, yeah, Alabama, I have my doubts about. They look like they're really good on offense, but their pitching staff, like, Ben Hess has not been good. He's made 2 SEC starts, and those 2 starts, he's gone 7 2/3 innings, given up 9 runs on 9 hits with 6 walks to go with his 12 strikeouts. So that hasn't been great. Like, I gave you my power rankings last week. I had Tennessee at the top. I'm not dying to come off that at this point. But it's going to be tough every single weekend in the SEC. And that's like, it's boring, cliche-riddled, rhetoric. But, like, it's pretty true. Like, your weekend against A&M is not going to be that much fun. Your weekend against Mississippi State was not that fun. Florida, we know, is very, very good. Going to Knoxville, I don't think anybody's all fired up to come to Baton Rouge, as much as y'all are all saying, LSU's going to get smoked by Arkansas, and this team doesn't have it. Like, I'm just telling you, like, it's a talented team, and it's Kentucky's annoying to play because they bunt and steal, all that kind of stuff. Like, really, outside of Missouri, it's a tough weekend just about every weekend. Now, some are tougher than others, and I would suggest this one coming up is really tough for LSU, going on the road to Baum Stadium to take on Hagen Smith, Brady Tigert, Mason Molina, and Peyton Stovall, and that whole crew. I mean, that's not awesome. But if I told you were going to College Station, would you feel any different? If I told you were going to Gainesville, Knoxville, told you were going to Nashville to play Vanderbilt, like, none of that's all that much fun. You just got to find a way, put your head down, and win games. The SEC won enough games in the pre-conference that your conference RPI is going to be awesome, and your numbers will take care of themselves if you can find a way to win 17 league games or so. It's easier said than done, but if you can do that, you'll put yourself in position to do what you've got to do in the postseason. It's just not fun to think about because they've lost 2 weekends in a row. But that's your look at the Southeastern Conference. Arkansas wins 2 out of 3 at Auburn. A&M wins 2 out of 3 against Mississippi State. The Vols take 2 out of 3 from Ole Miss. Kentucky wins 2 out of 3 against Missouri. Georgia sweeps Alabama. And South Carolina sweeps Vanderbilt. Of course, that paired with Florida, getting 2 out of 3 here in Baton Rouge. Our Monday shows brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com, GCOPnet.com. all your printer needs, all your scanner needs, all your copier needs. Right there, it's Gulf Coast Office Products. Take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk some NCAA basketball tournament. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Love my friends over at Boudreaux's Electric and love the peace of mind that they can provide to you with their Generac generators. They're a certified Generac dealer, a premier Generac generator dealer. That means they're in the top 3% nationwide. Power outages happen down here. Nasty summer storms, hurricane season, ice storms, whatever reason, just protect yourself. I tell the story all the time. I sat down to watch LSU in Tennessee, game one of the College World Series for LSU. Power went out. Just one of those 10-minute storms that blew through. Had to end up going to my wife's friend's in-law's house. It's not exactly where you try to watch the game. You need that Generac generator at Boudreaux's Electric. You say, Hunt, why didn't you have the generator? Well, we were moving, so it wasn't a great time to get a generator put in just so we could leave it behind. We'll make it happen for house number 2, thanks to the folks over at Boudreaux's Electric. That's our friends at Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
Dance continues this Thursday night at 6 and Friday night at 6 in the Sweet 16. Then Saturday at 5 p.m. and Sunday at 1 p.m. in the Elite 8. Listen to the 2024 men's basketball tournament right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
See where you stand on the leaderboard for the $1 Million Bracket Challenge powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light at 1045ESPN.com with the Sweet 16 setup. You can check out where you're at heading into the next weekend of games here. First place will win $2,024 of cash. And if your bracket is perfect, which I don't think we have anymore, unfortunately, so I don't think this is eligible anymore. But if there is still someone out there with a perfect bracket, you could win $1 million in a 3-year lease on a 2024 Acura RDX. It's the $1 Million Bracket Challenge, powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
I guess I should take your advice and check out where I am in the bracket.
Yeah, you should,
challenge.
actually.
I'm sure it's not good because it's never good. I don't even think I've ever sniffed one of these bracket challenges. Like I can't recall ever being remotely close. I got to log in, and I'm not going to do that while I'm live on the radio, so we're not going to do that. But
I did actually check the leaderboard recently, and our man Gordy Rush is actually up in the top 5, I think, right now.
I would submit that Gordy Rush probably has not watched one bounce of a basketball that wasn't LSU in college basketball since Thanksgiving.
It's probably accurate, and that's probably for the better, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Look, you just throw something on the board and see if it sticks. I took a shot at A&M last night. It was unnecessary. It was uncalled for.
It's never uncalled for to take a shot at A&M.
I mean, it was appropriate. I said nice win, another big win for Moral Victory U in College Station as they pushed Houston to the brink. That play at the end of regulation to get the 3 off and to bury it, even though not the guy you want taking the shot, but he makes it anyway, was incredible. I was dead wrong in like handicapping that game. When the bracket came out, I said A&M can't shoot and Houston is incredible on defense. That is going to be a nightmare to watch. And Texas A&M scored 86 points in regulation. I would have never guessed that.
That's just how it goes sometimes. I mean, you never know when a team. It's like you always say, some team you're going to have nights where you can't miss. There'll be nights where you can't make a shot. So it just happened to be that night for Texas A&M.
Look, as I'm watching the SEC teams play, and I'm watching Texas A&M last night, and Boots Radford was just heroic in that game for them. He goes for 27 points and 15 rebounds and 6 assists against the number 1 defense in the country. It was just incredible. And he's a transfer that was not very heralded from Virginia Tech. I'm looking at Alabama as they beat Grand Canyon, where did Grand Canyon come from? They're all over my TV screen in sports all of a sudden. I'm watching, they played Tennessee in baseball last year and then the NCAA tournament. But Alabama beats them to get to the Sweet 16, and Mark Sears goes for 26 points and 12 rebounds.
And that's a game.
Transfer from Ohio.
And that's a game you would have thought would be high scoring because Alabama always gives up 85, and Grand Canyon's actually got a pretty good offense, and yet neither of them cracked 75.
Yep. 72-61, and like that. And Sears for Alabama is an Ohio transfer that they brought in. That like I remember because I was doing Hoops for Hunt at the time when Ohio came here, and I remember his name from doing my breakdown of it. It wasn't like he was some sort of All-American at Ohio that needed to. I mean, he just kind of popped in out of nowhere. Like Dalton Connect was thought to be a pretty good scorer, and all of a sudden he showed up and was just awesome. And like these are the transfer stories that LSU just needs to get in on. They need to find their way. I'm watching Auburn play, and Janai Broome has been their heart and soul for 2 years, and that's just a transfer from the Missouri Valley. Like it's just not somebody that you thought anything of when he showed up and becomes an all-league player. That's what LSU needs to this point. And I'm watching teams in the SEC, and they're kind of led by some of those guys. Like I get that Wade Taylor was a high school recruit that they brought in, and he actually had a bad game yesterday. That even makes it more crazy that Wade Taylor didn't do anything, and they had 86 points against Houston. Just absolutely nuts. Question I want to ask you, Beck, is if you had a $5 bet to place down, and it was on either UConn or the other 15 teams to win the national championship, which side would you be on?
UConn has been just absurd this tournament. I mean, they've been unshakable, and even with the other 1 seeds like Houston, they had a tough time with A&M, who I would have not expected. Purdue has also been extremely good. So if you can give me Purdue, and North Carolina's also played well. Just based on having Purdue and North Carolina in the other 15 teams, I'd have to say I'd take the other 15
But
teams.
you wouldn't feel great about it?
I would feel pretty good, actually. Okay. I think I would feel pretty good.
All right, we'll see.
It's so hard to go back to back.
It is very hard, and I've got UConn winning in my bracket. It's
not a bad. It's not bad.
No, it's not. Another team that we wanted to talk about here is Tennessee. because everyone's just kind of looking at Rick Barnes like, okay, can you do this? And as the rest of the SEC is just falling by the wayside, Tennessee did find a way, even though it wasn't the prettiest game we've ever seen, to beat Texas back on Saturday. 62-58 was the final. This is one thing I do like about Tennessee. I feel comfortable with them winning a game multiple different ways. They can get in a shootout with somebody and they can go score. Connect and Ziegler and Vescovi, they can score with whoever they need to score with. And if they need to sit down and play some defense and get into a tractor pull, they can do that too. And that's what they did with Texas. It wasn't pretty.
It was ugly.
They shot 3 of 25 from the three.
It was an ugly game, both sides.
They shot 3 of 25 from 3. They shot 34%, and that generally is going to be your exit. You show up on a given night, which can happen to anybody, and you go 34% from the floor, 12% from 3, that's usually lights out. But their defense is good enough to get by, and that's what they did. They got by Texas with some really, really good defense.
They're gonna have to score to beat Creighton, though. Creighton
Yes.
they have a really good offense, and they've played extremely well in this tournament too.
I have Creighton in the national final in my bracket, which I think was really the only if you're gonna take UConn,
I mean, they're
to
a 3
win,
seed, but it's not like that's outlandish.
But they scored 86 points, and that was an overtime game. They scored 24 points in overtime against Oregon. Ducks are good, but Creighton was too much. I like watching a lot of what Creighton does. I think they run really good offense, and I think they're really disciplined. And I think they can get real hot shooting threes. They put up 40 threes in the game on Saturday and scored 86 points in double overtime. So good stuff from the Creighton Blue Jays. Any storylines for you in this tournament you've been watching?
Well, I texted you, and we talked about this before the tournament. Gonzaga was a 5 seed. I said Mark Hughes made the Sweet 16 every year for 8 years in a row. They're going to make the Sweet 16, and they've done just that. They blew the doors off Kansas. They didn't give McNeese a chance in that game, which a lot of people thought that McNeese had a pretty decent shot at that game with Gonzaga a little bit down this year. But they're gonna have to stop Zach. I don't think there's a way you can stop Zach Edey. I don't think anyone can stop him. Gonzaga doesn't have great size. They have decent size comparatively, but that's the one game I'm really interested to watch, because if Gonzaga can beat Purdue and get into the Elite Eight and play either Creighton or Tennessee, I think they can win that game too. And we can see Gonzaga back in the Final Four, even though they had a little bit of a down year compared to usually what they do.
I have a Gonzaga take. You ready for this one?
Sure.
I'm incredibly impressed with the ability to get to the Sweet 16 year after year after year. I think that's incredible. We've seen in this tournament, like, you can get beat by anybody any day. Like, that's really impressive. But
yeah,
I think they're like 3 lines ahead of where they might be if they played in the ACC or the Big Ten or the SEC and lost some games between Christmas and the tournament.
Probably so.
When you go through the West Coast Conference, you just never lose, ever. And your seed is going to reflect that, and you're always going to be a 1 or 2 seed instead of being maybe a 4 or 5 seed. Then maybe it's a little bit easier path.
That's true.
And maybe that's wrong. Maybe Gonzaga is good enough year in and year out that they would go 16-2 in most conferences. They're good, but I think the fact that they get to coast through that conference season probably improves their seed by 1 or 2.
Probably
and
so.
Maybe you get an easier road. But either way, like, you got Kansas this time around. I realize Kansas was missing one of their best players, if not their best player. But I mean, 89-68 is not leaving a lot of doubt there for Gonzaga. So impressive stuff for them. I was hoping that Oakland would make it again. It was a great game.
It was.
They had NC State. They got into overtime, 79-73. I could watch that guy just jack threes just all day. He played 42 minutes, shot 17 threes. This is coming from a guy who once shot 18 threes in a single game. So that's great stuff.
And the officiating, officiating was not very good in that game. I don't know if you watched all of it, but it was pretty poor in the last quarter and then into overtime. But NC State, the only double-digit seed to make the Sweet 16 this year, which I think is kind of surprising considering how these tournaments have gone the last few years with a lot of upsets happening.
Yeah, and it's honestly as much fun as it is to watch Bucknell beat Kansas and Lehigh beat Duke. Like, there comes a time where you want. I mean, and look, in Florida Atlantic did nicely, and San Diego State did nicely last year, and those are really good teams with good coaches. But there's a party that just wants to see the heavyweights duke it out in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and Final Four, and that's what we're getting. You're not getting anybody sneaking around the chicken coop for this year. You're going to have to go beat some real teams if you're going to get all the way to the Final Four. So I'm just hopeful that LSU shows up in this thing sometime really soon, because it's a really, really fun 4 days of basketball there, and another really, really fun 4 days of basketball is coming up here. Our Monday show is brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. I tell this story every week on Mondays when we're talking about Gulf Coast Office Products. You can do business with mom and pop stores, and you're going to have a great relationship and great customer service. Maybe not the capabilities that you might have elsewhere in a place with more resources. You can do business with a huge big box company, and you'll just be an item line in their directory and may not get somebody on the phone when you make a phone call because you're just one of their dozens and thousands of clients. Gulf Coast Office Products is right there in the middle. They've got the resources to help you out, and they also are small enough and local enough that you're going to have a great relationship with the folks over at Gulf Coast Office Products. Just about every business I know of needs printers and copiers, scanners. Let Gulf Coast Office Products help you out with that. Check them out online, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com. All right, we got 30 minutes to go. We'll take a timeout. Big recruiting weekend over the weekend for LSU. Billy Embody covers recruiting for the Bengal Tiger over on 3, and he joins us coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet is ready to take you through all the huge sports moments this spring. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN has it all, including exclusive offers and promotions from Scott Van Pelt and Stephen A. Smith. From playoff intensity to getting on the links and out to the ballpark, there's no better time to be a sports fan. Sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. You can download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local.
On Monday's OTB, recap March Madness, as well as the Tigers and Gators battling in the box. Did Jim get it done in New Orleans? Did the ladies whole serve at the PMAC? And a brand new Weekend Winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hope your work week's off to a good start. Full Monday show today. Kind of a Bengal Tigers-centric show. Because, I gave some baseball, and I write some baseball stuff over there, and then Matthew Bruni came on to talk women's basketball because he writes about women's basketball there. And now we want to talk recruiting, so it's got to be Shea Dixon or Billy Embody. We go with Billy Embody today on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Billy, how are you?
Doing well. How about you?
Doing quite well. Obviously, LSU in the throes of spring practice, but also busy hosting a lot of visitors, I understand it. Let's talk running back first. Harlem Berry already in this class as a commitment. We know that James Simon from up in Shreveport is also a target for LSU. How does that dynamic work with both of them?
Yeah, I mean, this is where you want to be if you're LSU. You've got Harlem Berry committed. He's back on campus, the 5-star running back, number one running back in the country, and he's been locked in. And now you've got Frank Wilson over the next 36 hours, really pushing for James Simon once again, the Shreveport area standout, to jump on board. And for him, he's somebody that has been long on LSU's radar and somebody that they've been in a good spot for. But he does have a bunch of spring visits laid out, and so the goal for LSU right now with this 2-day visit that started on Sunday is to continue to reiterate you're a priority. We've got a spot for you. We want you. This is a good combination between you and Harlem Berry to, potentially be that 2025 combo for this program. And, this is that time of year where we've seen some Louisiana guys pop in the past. And, we've seen it with guys like Devin Harper and Harlem Berry and Keelan Moses committing early. If they could find a way to get James Simon to jump on board this early, that would be huge, huge news for LSU.
Can you speak to the running styles of both Harlem Berry and James Simon and kind of what they look like?
Yeah, Harlem is extremely fast. I mean, he's one of the fastest running backs in the entire country, just a true playmaker. Our On3 national recruiting rankings team has likened his game to a Jamal Charles, but they've also loosely thrown out a little bit of a Reggie Bush style of running back. So whenever you're in that type of conversation, you've obviously got a lot of tools that you bring to the table. And then with James, I really kind of liken him to a little bit of like a Ty Davis Price. He's got a little bit more thunder to his game, a little bit of physicality, and he's really polished. He's got great vision. I think what he's been able to do at Calvary Baptist is really been impressive every time I've seen him live, which has been a few times now, actually. He's had multiple touchdowns, broke a big run, been able to catch the ball out of the backfield. And this fall, when I saw him had a big game, he had either like a broken wrist or broken hand, so he was still producing even through that. So he's a little bit more of the thunder complement to Harlem Berry if they can get him on board, but he's still got some speed that you want in that backfield too.
Brad Davis has just done an incredible job with his position group since arriving on campus a couple years ago, and they're not slowing down. Carius Kern, Micah DeBose, a couple of guys that they are pursuing. What can you tell us about those two guys and where LSU may stand on the offensive line with them?
Yeah, Brad Davis, I wrote a story that dropped this weekend about how he's been able to do it, and guys like Emory Jones, DJ Chester, Weston Davis weighing in on his recruiting style and building those relationships. And with Carius Kern, I mean, he's somebody that is committed to Arkansas. He's from Arkansas, but they're continuing to put the heat on him and got him back for a campus visit. And so whenever you bring in a guy like him, they brought in Solomon Thomas, Florida State commit, who's one of the best offensive linemen in the country. And on top of that, Micah DeBose was there as well. You've got 3 offensive linemen committed already in Tyler Miller, Brett Borlaug, and Devin Harper. But could you go out and continue to add to that with quality guys like Curious Kern, Micah DeBose, Solomon Thomas? That just shows that Brad Davis is continuing to turn over just about every single stone on the national recruiting front and doing a good job of it. I mean, he's got them right in the thick of it now for all of those guys. I would say Micah DeBose is somebody that we've been watching pretty closely for him to potentially make a decision. He's told us that it's crossed his mind that he's ready to make another commitment, and LSU's got a lot of momentum there. But, Brad Davis just continues to get it done. He's really, really impressive with what he's been able to do with all the guys he's recruiting and managing that room and building it up for years to come.
We know Corey Raymond spent a lot of time reeling in high-profile defensive backs in his first stint at LSU, now back. And I'm looking across at some of the targets here in the defensive backfield, and Anquan Fagans is one that's interesting to me, a top 5 safety by On3. But he's from the state of Alabama, and that's just not a place where LSU or anyone could have a lot of success while Nick Saban was ruling there. Do we think that there may be a way to get back into that state now that he's moved on?
Yeah, I think so. LSU's done a good job with a guy like Anthony Jones, the number 1 edge, or top 5 edge now, I think, prospect in the country for the class of 2026. He's been a constant visitor to LSU. Yeah, he's the number 1 edge on the On3 industry ranking, and he's shown a lot of interest. And now that that state theoretically is a little bit more open without Nick Saban at the helm. That's a good thing for LSU. They've also hosted Shadarius Tootle, who, besides being a top 5 name type of prospect, he's the number 2 linebacker in the country as well, and he's from the state of Alabama. He was just on campus. Anquan Fagans is out of the state of Alabama, and he's a top 100 prospect that LSU is really working hard at, trying to get him on board. And Corey Raymond also had Fahim Delane on campus. He's out of the DMV area in Maryland, but he's also a top 100 safety prospect. So, I mean, Corey Raymond continues to make a good push there for those 2 guys, along with Jake Olson. But, LSU is kicking that tire pretty good on the state of Alabama now that it's a little bit more open.
And then come back on the home front. DK Mays from right here in Central is a guy that the staff had to campus this weekend. What can you tell us about the possibility of him getting an offer?
Yeah, I think his junior season was a really good one. That definitely, you saw that with the offers that rolled in. He's just kind of stacked up some quality offers, and LSU is going to continue to evaluate him throughout the spring and maybe into the summer as well. And he's kind of fits the mold of honestly what this defensive line coach Bo Davis is really looking for in some of the top guys that he pursues, which he doesn't necessarily care that they're maybe on the 6'2", 6'3" side. If they can produce, if they can make plays, he'll offer them. He's not afraid of that. They had Kevin Otis, kind of a sawed-off defensive tackle on campus, a 4-star over the weekend as well. And so it's not out of the question to see DK Mays out of Central pick up an offer at some point. He's set an official visit to Tulane as well, and he's going to go visit Houston. So he's got some programs after him, and LSU's keeping close tabs there.
Billy, we really appreciate some time. Thanks, man.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
He's Billy Embody over at On3, part of the Bengal Tiger team. You're looking for recruiting news. You're looking for team coverage. You're looking for a little baseball as well. Folks over at On3 have got you covered. We appreciate Billy for making time with us. Matthew Brunion's with us in hour number 1. And Shay's here from time to time, but we kind of let Shay hang out with Matt on Tuesdays. So I like to try to find his time as he's got great information. Look, Brian Kelly's doing a fantastic job on the recruiting trail, and he's put together a staff that would lead you to believe that that's the way things are going to go for some time now. I love looking at the 2025 Louisiana top 10. You've got Harlan Berry at the top, LSU. Jabari Antoine, number 2, LSU. Devin Harper, number 3, LSU. You got James Simon at number 4. We just talked about him and the possibility for LSU to reel him in. On 3 recruiting prediction machines, got him 94% to LSU with a 2% to Texas A&M there. But the number 4 player in the state potentially could trend towards LSU. Keelan Moses from U-High, number 5, LSU. J.D. LaFleur, number 6, LSU. Teron Francis, number 8, LSU. Brett Bordelon, number 10, LSU. Like everyone that LSU is offering, they are getting in this class, and we know that they got 9 of the top 10 in the state this past year as well. That's where it's got to start. You know it. I know it. Brian Kelly knows it. People nationally know it. It's got to start. You can supplement it with your Bryce Underwoods. You got to do that as well. Got to recruit the state of Florida. Got to recruit the Houston area. This is the playbook to be the recruiting staff at LSU, but it's got to start in Baton Rouge. And if you can go with 2 years getting everybody that you offer in state, that sets the foundation for what you're trying to do here. And I'm really encouraged with the way things are going on a recruiting perspective for LSU. If you want some more news on that, check them out over at Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 network. We've got one timeout to go. We'll come back, play some Take It or Leave It, and we'll finish things up here on a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, video, security solutions. Yesterday, the Myers man was really wanting to go play T-ball in the backyard. So we did that, and I wanted to pay attention to the baseball game, so I listened to it over the new speaker system that they put in on our back patio. Thanks to the folks over at Audio Video Security Solutions. I can control the volume and what I listen to from right there on the phone. So when Florida hit their 1,400th home run, I switched it over to some country music because I don't want to listen to baseball anymore. But it's all due to the fact that those guys over at Audio Video Security Solutions helped us up. I've got Mitchell Fisher's cell phone number here. You call Audio Video Security Solutions, you get the owner, Mitchell Fisher. It's 225-439-7920. It's 225-439-7920. If you want to look at the capabilities, some of the great things they can do for you, check them out online. They're Audio Video Security Solutions. It's at avssla.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Monday's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. LSU football on the practice field with full media availability. We'll have a recap, and we'll talk LSU, Florida, and baseball from the box. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Basketball transfer portal is going to go into overdrive here now that there are only 16 teams left. You're going to see a lot of folks that were in the tournament or that have been eliminated from the tournament getting into the transfer portal now, and this is the most important time in roster building in college basketball. There's no doubt about it. And Matt McMahon got to be aggressive in that, and I'm hearing that he is. And one of the names that is really surfacing right now as a potential target for LSU is Cam Carter. Cam Carter is a Donaldsonville native. He's a 6'3", 195-pound wing. He actually went to Oak Hill Academy, then went to Mississippi State. Then he's been at Kansas State for a couple of years. Now is back in the transfer portal, and that's a guy that I think LSU will absolutely pursue. He did not shoot the ball exceptionally well this year, just 30% from three, but he was a double-figure scorer for Kansas State. He averaged 14.6 per game. I think he would very likely be an off-the-ball guard that did some slashing, played some defense for you. Is he going to shoot 42% from three? No. But I think he can be a 15-point scorer in the SEC, and that's something LSU's going to need because you're losing a lot of offensive production with Jordan Wright. You're losing a lot of your offensive production from a short time which was Jalen Cook. You lose a lot of ball handling with Trey Hannibal as well. So I'm excited about the potential for Mike Williams. I'm excited about the potential for Tyrell Ward, but you are going to have to add to your backcourt for sure. I think you got a really good freshman coming in, Curtis Givens, to help play the point a little bit. But I think adding some age here, what would be a senior, a fourth-year college player, and Cam Carter would make a lot of sense. So no official word on that yet, but I think this is a guy that you can probably keep an eye on here. And it's another one of those Louisiana natives who may want to come back home, and I don't think you can necessarily just stick to that model. You're going to have to recruit some guys nationally to come in here and play. But if you got some hometown connections and that helps, then bring somebody in. So we'll see if anything breaks on that here over the next week or so. All right, Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All righty, first one here. The NFL has outlawed hip drop tackles. They will now be a 15-yard penalty. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. I just don't know how you're supposed to play defense. I really don't.
I saw someone on Twitter. They were quoting in the voice of Tony Romo, "Oh, wow, Jim, they really would have won that game if not for that hip drop tackle. Now the Chiefs have first down. Patrick Mahomes got another first down now. They're back in the game."
It's it's hard for me to describe what a hip drop tackle is. So basically, it's you tackle from behind, you grab around the waist, and then everyone goes to the ground. And there are a lot of knee injuries people have been rolled up on with these tackles. Like, at some point, we have to just understand the inherent risk of playing football.
Yes.
And play with that. I understand that the NFL is getting sued up to its eyes with these concussions and all types of things. And I get that there needs to be some protection for players, but like, you can't hit the quarterback low. You can't hit the quarterback high. You can't horse collar from the back. Now you can't tackle from the back and fall down. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do to tackle somebody who's right out in front of you. The only way to tackle him is to grab him and go down. This seems ridiculous to me. I do not understand how we anticipate playing football with outlawing every single tackle except for a perfect form tackle right at the belt. It's just not reasonable.
It's not realistic at all. All right, moving on here. Deion Sanders says he's going to sway his son Shador's draft fate, similar to how Eli Manning's was. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That's fine.
I'll take it.
I saw that quote, and I was like, whatever, Deion's always talking. He had another quote, and I meant to talk about this last week, but it came by. Like, he's not traveling to do recruiting because he says he's too big a celebrity. And if he goes, everyone will know where he is, and then the schools that he doesn't visit won't be able, they'll get their feelings hurt, and that's not good. And plus, he's a businessman, and he wants to save Colorado some money by not traveling.
Okay.
That is perhaps the dumbest thing I've ever heard a coach say. Perhaps. I can't etch it in stone that it's the dumbest, but it's one of them. I can't go recruit because I'm too big a celebrity and I'll hurt some people's feelings, and I just want to save the university a couple of bucks.
For the Dan Le Batard fans, the Stugotz is strong in him.
That is remarkably short-sighted and just dumb.
It's like he's building in an excuse as to why they may not bring in the best talent. Oh, well, I don't get to go, recruit as much as the other guys because I'm trying to save the team. It's a horrible excuse.
I'm convicted here that he's going to fail.
Yeah.
This is not going to work.
Year one didn't go well, so
it was a great idea for Colorado to try to revive a program long.
Yeah, they had nothing to lose.
Yes, but it's not going to work. These quotes are so ridiculous. His high school recruiting is atrocious, and he just I don't think you can just be Deion. It's just not going to work. I'm not pulling for him to fail. I couldn't care less about Deion Sanders or Colorado football. But the more I read and see, this is just not going to work. And Shador said today that he's like overcome all odds. It's like, man, I don't know of anybody who had better odds.
Yeah,
that's you got your dad's genes, and he's the coach. Like their odds are pretty good that you're going to have success there. I always went off on that Devontae Smith thing where he was like saying he was always doubted in his Heisman ceremony. I'm like, you're always doubted. You were a top 75 player in the country and a 4-star that had scholarship offers everywhere in the Southeastern Conference. As a freshman, you caught the national championship game winning touchdown pass. You won the Heisman Trophy and got picked in the first round. Who are these people that were doubting you?
It's like people always talk about how Michael Jordan and some of the best players basically have to create create those thoughts that people are doubting me or people don't believe I can do it. Whenever in reality, actually a lot of people do.
Everyone thinks you're pretty good.
Yeah,
we think you're pretty good.
Yeah. All right, next one here. As we talked about earlier, Peter Malnati won the Valspar this weekend playing a yellow ball. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna leave the yellow ball.
Oh,
I don't need
Hunt.
the yellow ball.
You're just a golf elitist, Hunt.
Yeah.
You can't accept a guy with a yellow ball.
I don't need the yellow ball. Let's just play with the white ball. We'll leave the yellow ball for like Celebration Station. We're gonna play some putt-putt.
So
we'll get a yellow ball. We'll get a red ball.
Not only are you the uniform czar, but apparently you're the golf ball czar as well.
Yeah, let's just hit the Pro V1s. Let's get the Callaway Chrome Softs.
By the way,
out.
I'm pretty sure they make yellow Pro V1s, which is probably what he played.
I don't like the yellow ball. I can't get along with.
What's wrong with it, huh? Why don't you like it?
It's just not classic. You need the classic. You need the white ball.
Okay. Well, the next time you're playing, you can't find your ball in the rough, and I find
in the rough,
mine.
as if I would ever hit the ball in the rough.
Right. Exactly.
Fairways and greens, baby.
Of course.
Stay in the short grass.
All right. Last one here.
I haven't missed a fairway in months.
I'm sure. Well, yeah, probably because you haven't played, which I think is exactly what it is. Yeah, you haven't played. All right. Last one here. The Pels are a top 5 team in the NBA. Take it or leave it.
Ooh, I'll leave that. It's not as far-fetched as you would have thought.
No, it's not.
2 months ago, but
I think they're a top 8 team.
Yeah, I could get there. And I think they've got a chance to be pretty scary and spicy in the playoffs. But I just don't know if they're a top 5 team in the NBA right now. They're really good, and they need BI to get healthy, and that's a bit of an issue. But I just love the fact that they're just crushing bad teams. Like that's the sign of a team that's headed the right direction, is if you start crushing bad teams. Now, you got to get to the next level where you beat the good ones consistently, and that's obviously how you get to be a championship contending team. But I think that's the second step here, and they've definitely accomplished the first because they are crushing folks. So that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this this Monday edition. We're brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products, GCOPnet.com. All your printing, copying, scanning needs. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and the folks over at Gulf Coast Office Products. Of note tonight for LSU, number 7 seed Creighton, number 2 seed UCLA from Pauley Pavilion. It'll be on ESPN2 at 7:30 our time. So LSU will find out who its Sweet 16 opponent is this evening at about 9:30 our time. So we'll see UCLA an 8.5-point favorite on ESPN Bet. According to the website here. So Creighton's 26-5. They've been good away from home, 10-2. UCLA 26-6, 15-1 at Pauley. So we'll see, and we'll certainly react to that coming up on tomorrow's show. I'm curious to see when this Washington Post story drops. Like, I gave my 2 cents on it at the end of the first hour. If you want to listen to that, you can go back and listen to it. But I'm going to read it. I've got to cover it, so it's part of the job description. But I'm just curious what this is. I have my hunch. I think I know what it's going to be, but I'll reserve judgment until the piece actually comes out. So got 1 minute to go here, so let's wrap things up. Opened up the show today talking LSU and Florida baseball. We did that for the first 30 minutes of the show. Matthew Bruni came on at 1:30 to talk about the women's basketball team and how they looked over the weekend. A slow start for the first really 3 halves of basketball, but the 4th half was really good, and hopefully something of things to come. At the end of hour number 1, talked about Rory McIlroy coming to the Zurich Classic. If you missed that today, he's going to play with Shane Lowry in the Zurich, which I think is really, really cool. I also gave my thoughts on the Kim Mulkey story. SEC Baseball Report at 2 o'clock. NCAA Tournament Thoughts at 2:15. And Billy and Buddy talking some LSU recruiting. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. You can also catch it on demand wherever you find your podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or, of course, on YouTube or 1045ESPN.com. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further Review. We're back same time, same place tomorrow, getting ready for LSU baseball and some more spring football talk as well. Have a great Monday. Back tomorrow on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf